Can you believe it? This is just absolutely insane.
Head into the mystery of the African wilderness live right here on WildEarth.
There she goes. She's coming right towards us.
From the wilds of the Greater Kruger to the majestic dunes of the Kalahari.
Live, this is happening right now.
This is one of the big safari specials on any reserve.
Tune in to meet our captivating animal characters and talk to the experts in real time, only on WildEarth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, everyone. A very good morning. Welcome once again to Masai Mara. And we already set out here. The sun has said hello. It's already risen. And welcome to your live safari. Yes, there is nothing like the sunrise in Masai Mara. We already set out here in our location at the marsh, and we've been very, very fortunate to start with this morning. See the sunrise. You see there we have one of the river lionesses. She's already on the prowl. Looks like she hasn't eaten in the last almost 4-5 days, and she is very, very desperate. You'll see her come out of the frame there. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. You can also send in your kids' question at WildEarthTV.com, and also you can send in your questions and comments. I'm also joined in by my colleagues from other places who will be introducing themselves shortly. The weather in the Mara is around 16 degrees Celsius, and it is super beautiful. A very good morning. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. We're already set out here at the marsh, and you can hear the roar of the lion. That's what we came to look for. Hear that? Yes, I came here to look for the marsh, or the river Pride, and I have come across this lone lioness. She's the one with the one ear that is lower than the other, as you can see, and she's got cubs hidden somewhere. Last time I saw her was about 3 days. She hasn't eaten, and she looks very, very desperate. You don't want to be around here because she's looking for anything that is moving. There was a zebra earlier on, like 5 minutes ago, but it took off, and now she's looking around. At the same time, the roar is to contact the rest of the females. I think she wants them to come so that if there is something bigger than she can bring down, they can all join hands and bring it down. Remember, she's suckling, so she needs to eat. Otherwise, she won't produce milk for the little ones. And if she doesn't do that, they'll be, doomed. She's looking around, as you can see. The weather is beautiful. There's no wind. The birds are just waking up. I don't know if you can hear them every now and then. And it looks like it's going to be a very hot day. I'm staying here. Let me take you to another one of my colleagues to introduce himself.
A very good and cool morning from andBeyond Phinda. We are on our way to head to a open grassland area. We actually found this male lion on the ground here. My name is Dewald, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and we were actually quite on the move this morning, trying to cover some distance, and try and get to that other area. And then this male lion was just lying as flat as he can over as much of the road as he can as well. Oh my goodness. And actually interesting story with this male lion. For the last 24 hours or so, we found him and two lionesses fairly early on in the afternoon, yesterday afternoon, before WildEarth started, and covering quite a lot. And then later on, some of the other rangers let me know that the two lionesses actually caught a Ngala, and they stole them. And then so he was literally, it seems like he was literally following the lionesses purely for the reason of them hopefully catching something and him getting something to eat. And then he's obviously left them last night and left the carcass last night and walked all the way back this way. So as far as we know, he is on his way back to where his brother is, because he is in a coalition with another male. And I think he's probably heading in that direction to see if he can find his brother, or maybe head towards another pride of lions in those open grasslands where we're heading towards, that he's the dominant male as well. So
well, my lioness is still calling. I don't know if she's going to call again. She did call about 2 seconds ago, but now it looks like she's gone quiet. Remember that she needs to eat something. The River Pride has got about 2 females that have got 4 really young ones. I suspect we have more young ones, but they haven't been revealed to us. It's going to be a joy when we see them and learn of the numbers that we have in total. She's calling. I don't know if you can hear her. Can you hear that? Yes, that is a contact call. And okay, she was calling, but I think the main reason she's calling is she wants the rest of the pride to come in, because desperate times call for desperate measures. They need to combine efforts and either bring down something bigger, a hippo or a buffalo. And because she's looking around, there's no beast on sight, and so she really wants to have the rest of the pride so that they can go for something else. Remember, this pride has been hanging around this area for quite a long time, and it's a perfect estate for them, because it's always got something. But although they're lions, their prey is always aware that they are lions, and they always try to get away. And I think also she has had very bad luck, because she hasn't been in the right place. Every time, she wants to go for something. Starlight, Jumbo, why is this a lioness alone? After giving birth, or just before giving birth, a lioness is split from the main pride to find a secretive spot where they give birth. The main reason is they want the young ones to have an imprint of their smell, and also to take care of the young ones in a very secluded spot. And then once they're big enough, around 1.5 months, they will be introduced to the rest of the pride. That is the main reason she left the rest of the pride, so that she could give birth and give her young ones private time. and that's why she's alone. Usually they will hang around with another of her sisters. Maybe there could be 2 or 3, but in this case she's all alone, and that's why she's calling, hoping that one of her sisters will turn, and so they can join efforts. Usually they synchronize their meetings, and so when they give birth, one can babysit while the other one goes out to look for food. In this case, I think she got left out, and right now she's trying to find out, where. Marianne, would she scare away, let's say, prey with her calling? Of course she would. But her main aim when she calls is to contact the sister. So she doesn't really care who hears it. She just wants her sister to hear the call, and so she can come. So yes, she will scare most of the prey. But I think she has given up, and she has decided that there is no prey around. So the only solution here is to call her sister, and she doesn't care if somebody hears. You see her doing that? That is the call. Yes, it might be like not as loud, but if you're very close and you are downwind, it can be very, very loud. At the same time, lions have got very good sense of hearing. So her sister, if she's within like 2 miles, she will hear that. You see, she has stayed put. She's on a high spot, so she's able to spot any lion approaching. At the same time, any other lion, coming will see her. So she has stayed put in a very strategic point where any of her members will see her if they approach. I'm staying here for a little bit longer. Let's see what another live safari vehicle is doing.
Good morning and welcome to this other side of the Mara. We have hyenas eating and we have vultures. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. What a beautiful morning. Suspect that these hyenas were the ones that made the kill, because no lion presence around this area. You can see lots of vultures that have begun coming in. Look at that flesh there. Super fresh. Seems like it happened this morning. Just not far from now. I mean, like, I would say half an hour ago. That's when it was brought down. Some hyenas have left with big chunks of meat. Some others carrying bones. You can see one carrying a leg. You can see vultures also trying to come in also. Seems like it has been split into half. So the other hyena has the other half, and these two they have the other half. Lapet vulture, African whiteback vulture, and the Rupel's griffon vulture all present here. We call this the cleanup squad. Look at Maverick, thank you so much for your comment. Remember, if you have questions or comments for young viewers, kids question at WildEarth.tv, on the YouTube comment section at FC, #WildEarth. They have to eat as much as they can, because if other hyenas come here, then they will not have anything to eat. when the hyenas are eating, they have to be hierarchy. So what a super nice sighting. Hyena and vulture breakfast. Sometimes during a kill, hyenas will depend who is high ranking. The high ranking ones get to eat first, and then the subordinates get to eat second. You always see sometimes them fighting one another at such sightings. Hyenas not happy with the vultures chasing them away. Soon jackals will come in. I like the way they keep on getting closer and closer. Yeah, giving up now. But she's determined to chase him away. Sometimes they nag them until they leave, just like what we've seen now. And then the vultures come in to clean the carcass. Look at how they eat. Super fast. The African white-back vulture are super fast when they're eating. And within 2 minutes, they're able to fill up their crop. Another hyena's coming. I think she's not happy. Come on, get off. Within hours, these carcass will be entirely cleaned. So vultures don't normally kill. They are super dependent on scavenging. But at times you find that if animals are sickly off and maybe they have wounds, we've seen vultures actually eat from these animals before they die. They normally depend on sight to locate food, and not as they believe that they can smell food from a long distance. Hyenas have a very good sense of smell. They can smell carrion for about up to 4 or 5 kilometers downwind. How interesting is this? Look at the lappet-faced vulture. He's picked a chunk and moved off from the other vultures to eat by himself, as the other ones are fighting off because he's the apex or the alpha or the big vulture that comes in fast at carcasses. Oh, hyenas come in, get off from my meal. Look at the carcass, how it's been cleaned. Just within 2 minutes, the vultures have already almost cleaned up the entire rib cage. You can hear her crunching the bones. I'd say within 3 to 4 months they'll start scavenging over, because when they're still young, they'll still be dependent on their mother. The mothers will come and eat as much as they can, fill up their crop, take them to the nest, regurgitate food, come back. But after about 4 to 5 months, they'll start falling slowly. a wonderful sighting. You can see there's lots of interaction here, the vultures and the hyena. So as you watch this, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, that's a wonderful sighting of the vultures feeding. What has just happened is the lioness was calling on top of a termite mound. She was really looking desperate and looking at a distance, hoping, to attract maybe one of our fellow Pride members. And I decided to leave that area and scan around. And you cannot believe this, but already we have seen about 3 lionesses from the same Pride heading in the direction of that lioness. You will see them there. They're coming. They're still a long way. We decided to drive towards them. You see that? I think there are 2, and there was another one somewhere, or maybe it was something else, but there were 3. Yes, there it is. So there are 3 of them, and they're heading in their direction of that lone lioness. The distance from where I left her to where I am is almost 2 kilometers. So it is true that call travels a very long way. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. And questions and comments are very, very welcome. Yes, I'm waiting for them to get closer, because looks like they're really determined, to get close to their sister and maybe assist and also give company. Also, you can send in your question at KidQuestion@WildEarth TV, and we will sample them, and you will have your answers right here live on this live safari. I don't know if these girls have eaten, but they don't look like. Let me take my binoculars and have a look if they have eaten. Because if they have eaten, she won't be very, very impressed. She won't be very happy, because she needs company to help her bring down, something. When they get closer, I'll be able to investigate more. But the weather is beautiful. The sun is just about right, and it's a lovely morning. I hope you're enjoying this live broadcast. Here within the area that these girls reside, the River Pride, we have another Pride that's almost off to the right, about 5 miles to the right. For some reason, they never collide. I've never seen it, but I'm sure it's inevitable in the near future that they'll come across one another. It is a long way from where she is to where I am, and this is going to be lovely to see her come, towards us. Oh, unfortunately, these girls have fed. They are so full. They look like, they've swallowed a soccer ball. In one sitting, a lioness would eat around 18 pounds of meat. That is a lot of meat. And the reason they're usually very muscular is that they walk long distances, and consuming too much protein, makes them really, really muscular and strong. Look at her, how she's walking. I don't know, there is a watering hole there. I don't know if she's gonna go down and drink. It's off to the left, or she's gonna come towards me. It's going to be very interesting when she gets to where her sister is, and the sister realizes they are full. But I think what will happen is the lone lioness will have freedom to venture out even for a day or 2, because these girls can also suckle the young ones. That is the main advantage with these lionesses. Debbie, Jumbo, very much like our voices. Lion roars and calls are recognizable by other Pride members. That's how it is. So it's very easy. They can recognize it very much like how we can recognize, our own voices and different voices. I'm sure you can recognize some of your family members' voices, and very much the same with these lionesses. Look at how full they are. It is unbelievable. We will be sharing the side profile when we can, so that you can see how well fed they are. This is a beautiful scene. Look at that. Look at how bloated they are. I don't know what they ate. Maybe they swallowed a whole wildebeest or something. Hey, I'm sure she is dying to get to where she can rest. Looks like she's got plenty of milk. So those little ones, if they haven't suckled maybe for a day, they will have a lot of milk today. Look at that. Look at those titties. They're full of milk. Look at that belly. Yeah. She's a big lady, that one. She's a beautiful girl. Yeah, we have 2 more coming, and they have decided to go down to the watering spot I was telling you about. Yeah, and they're gonna have a drink. It's common for them not to pass that tempting water after a big meal. Yeah, this one here doesn't look like she really had a good meal, like the one that just passed us. So she might join the other lioness to go for a hunt. So I would say this one will be an advantage to the lone lioness. Yeah, the other last one also has eaten, but not as much. This one closer to us hasn't eaten much. The last one has eaten quite a little bit. Beautiful scene. This is the River Pride, and we have a chance now to say that either today I will be able to see those cubs, or I'll be able to see them hunt. Tori, you want to know how long it takes to form a pride? Well, prides are always being formed because how many lions does it take to form a pride, Tori? Jumbo? Well, a pride can range from 1 lioness and 1 male. That is already a pride. Depends on where we are. Here in the Mara, it's rare to come across such kind of a pride. Here, prides range from 6 lionesses and 2 males and their offsprings. But it differs from one area to the other. You can find 1 male with 3 lionesses. You can find 5 males and even 10 lionesses. I once experienced a few years back where we had the Sand River Pride, which had 5 males, 20 lionesses, and around 11 cubs. So it was a huge pride. So it differs from one area to the other, but a pride mainly is formed of a few females and a male. That is a pride. I'm gonna, turn around because now we're going to head towards where the lone lioness is, and it's going to be exciting to see the reunion and the interaction of, the 3 girls. The one ahead has really moved very close. I don't know if she's gonna call again. If she calls, these girls might answer and, she might head this way. All right, now it's time to follow them. This is amazing. I'm loving it. I hope, you are doing the same. This last one, you can tell, is the one that hasn't eaten. And so you can tell she's walking, stopping and looking. And she's going to be perfect for the lone lioness that we saw earlier, because they are going to join efforts and go for a hunt. You can see she's not as full and she's checking the area. When there are three like this is a power to reckon. They can bring down a zebra, a wildebeest, even a buffalo. When, they decide to. Look how the steam they're releasing when they breathe. Very muscular, very healthy. This is super beautiful. They're quite at distance now. And I'm very happy that I'm all alone here. I can let them do their own thing. Look at that. Beautiful scene here. Continue talking to us. #WildEarth. Question, comments are very, very welcome. I'm going to move closer because this is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward either for them to reveal where the cubs are or the two females to join efforts and go out hunting. Now, things are going to get better for that lone lioness because either the two that are really well fed will go back towards the cubs and then she will go out with the other lioness maybe for a day or two to do some hunting. I'm gonna follow them for a little bit and see what's happening.
Good morning and welcome to the bushwalk this morning. I'm fighting off flies. I hope you're all very well wherever you happen to be in the world. My name is Jamez Hendrai. And on camera today we have got BK, biceps, forearms, calves, basically just a very muscle-bound young fellow, and he will be operating the camera today. We have got here the dwarf boerbean. Now, the dwarf boerbean is a particularly unattractive plant unless it is flowering. And it is unattractive because it grows in this kind of scraggly, shrubby type of shape, I suppose. It blocks where you want to walk or drive. But when the flowers come out, they are just magnificent. And here they are, and very much like their friends, or their cousins, the weeping boerbean. They're bright red and full of nectar, and so they attract sunbirds and all sorts of other nectar-eating creatures. And in this particular case, all I've got are some ants. BK, would you like to take a few steps forward and come and see if you can see the ants eating this flower? Is that as close as you're going to come? Oh, I see. Right, well, see if you can find the ants. It's completely on the wrong side, isn't it? Come this side. Let's do a swapsy. It's like watching ballet, I'm sure. Oh, you're stuck. That's why we don't like this plant, you see. All right, come and look over on this flower. There are a whole lot of small ants that are no doubt harvesting the nectar on the dwarf boerbean flower. Very beautiful. Now, I've been reading about animal navigation, and ants find their food sources and their homes through various means. It depends on the species. But what I found most interesting is that, yes, some ants use smell. They follow scent trails to and from their homes. But what I found most interesting is that they use a lot of visual cues. And you can do experiments with various kinds of ants. Obviously, there are hundreds and hundreds of species. But you can trick them into not finding their holes, or you can do something like wash away the area where they've walked before. So if a trail of ants comes out the hole, walks across to a food source, if you then clean that area, you can put acetone on it to make sure that there isn't any kind of scent trail left. The ants will still be able to find their way home, and they're doing that with visual cues. Other species not the same. They need that scent trail. I have absolutely no idea how these ants are finding their scent trail or their homes, but it's quite possible that it's with scent, simply because it's, I think they are finding the food source with scent. unless it's the red colour that's giving them the visual cue to come up here and look for it. So isn't that interesting? Renee, you said it looks Christmassy. It does rather. It does look very Christmassy, this tree. It's a little bit early, but it does look very Christmassy. I suppose it would fit in well with the commercial people who will start advertising Christmas nowish, I guess. Very nice. Now, what we've done is we've found some leopard tracks outside our camp. We've followed them, but I think that they are sort of going to terminate in a leopardess that is now calling on the northern boundary. And so there are a couple of cars that have gone up there, and they'll see if they can find her. Cyril, you want to know if everything is preyed upon in South Africa, including the plants? You'll find that everything in nature, just about, is preyed upon. It doesn't have to be in Africa, can be absolutely anywhere. So whether you're in North America, Siberia, Peru, Australia, everything is going to be a food source for something else, just about. That's how nature works. All available niches are occupied, trophic and otherwise. BK, here we go.
Welcome to the other side of the Mara. We have surprise for everyone. We have loads and loads of wildebeests on the floor of the escarpment. Just driving to get closer or a very good view of the wildebeest. This is unbelievable. They look like I can't even explain. They look like safari ants. From a distance, they look like small dogs, but look at that. Those are wildebeest and zebras. So this entire place has been painted with wildebeest. They're all walking towards the east. On that floor of the Ololo escarpment, it's really, really covered. When you talk about the Great Migration, that is what we mean. These wildebeest will be migrating from long distance away. They can carry on walking for up to 12 kilometers round trip where they can get water. But it seems like there's good pasture there. We've seen them utilize the other side of the plains as they carry on moving to the floor of the escarpment and walking towards the swamps. So each year, this population gets to increase, and they walk along long distance. And when they're walking those long distance, they're joined by other herbivores: the zebra, topi, Thompson gazelle, and elands. But the big number, of course, are the wildebeest. So when they walk like this, they utilize the pasture. And sometimes you see them cutting off grass with their hooves as they carry on grazing. And this is very, very important, playing a very important ecological role, because in some areas where the grass seeds are not evenly distributed, then these animals help in dispersal of seeds. So you find that there is evenly distribution of seeds. Find that these grasses are very, very well distributed, such that we don't only have one particular grass species on one area. So sometimes you find that we do what we call control burning to help get rid of the moribund. And because we can't really burn the entire place to control the burning, so these animals help or come in handy when it comes to grass disposal. Karen, thank you so much for your question. A very warm welcome. Good morning. I'm sure if I get too close, then they'll just move on slowly. But sometimes, if it's a predator, they have what we call a swarm intelligence. They can run towards the predator because look at the number. Sometimes they get confused where the predator is coming from. And in that case, they head off and they stampede. I've once seen lions stalking on a riverbed. The lions know that there are big herd of wildebeest approaching. Later on, after all the wildebeest crossed over that riverbed, we found the lioness, one of the lioness dead. So they can stampede, but not towards the vehicle. They just move on or carry on a different direction. But as we approach them, we always keep our distance to let them walk freely. So in East Africa, we have these herds that perform the annual migration, and we have other places where we have the resident herds. So this is what has made it to an attraction of the world wonder, where they walk from all the way from southern Serengeti to Kenya. Our resident herds are commonly found here in the Mara at a place called the Loiter Plains, which is southeast of where we are. And those don't migrate out of the country. So we call them the intra-migrants. They only migrate from the conservancies or the Mara conservancies into the Loiter Plains and then head back. But they will come in from Tanzania all the way to Masai Mara. But it's the same ecosystem. As we cross over the border, it's called Masai Mara. But when you go over to Tanzania, it's called Serengeti. Sorry, come again with the question. I didn't get it clearly. The reason why we have so many zebras and wildebeest and topi is because there is a population boom when it comes to giving birth. So they give birth in very big numbers. We have what we call ecological balance. So this, because they have to walk a long distance away from all the way down to Serengeti and southern Serengeti to the Ndutu Plains, the topis are not always in big numbers. We have very few numbers. They don't always walk further down where this will head. And because of that, they utilize a lot of grass. So when you have lots of topis and lots of zebras and lots of wildebeest, then there will be a proportional imbalance in terms of environmental control of the grass. So we have to have few herds in other species. So wildebeest and zebra always walk in mixed herd because there's heightened alert when it comes to predation. So the zebras sometimes will alert the wildebeest when there's danger coming in or there's a predator. So we'll still hang around with these herds. We'll try at least to get closer as we send you over to another safari vehicle.
Dumela and good morning to everybody. A nice chilly
15 or 16 degrees Celsius here in Tswalu. We are just sitting here very quietly, fingers crossed. This is one potential site on a closer Cape Fox den that we are trying to see if it's active. Very good morning. My name is Carl and Glenn behind the camera making this all possible. Welcome to Tswalu. But yeah, what we're going to be doing is waiting over here just to see if there's any activity. And then we'll be going to the horses and as well as the rock stars today, see where they are. We haven't seen the rock stars in a couple of days. We had those 2 days where they weren't at the burrow, which they normally are. And then we had those 2 days of very chilly weather. So today is the day that we're going to go say hello. And hopefully they haven't thought that we have forgotten about them. So it'd be nice to do an update on them. And then hopefully we can have this little Cape Fox pockets head out the burrow system. They reside in these burrows during the night, also use them for breeding. But the amount of soil that you can see there, the red earth, that's the earth that's been excavated from under the ground, and the animal pushing all that sand up onto the surface of the soil here. And so there's 3 or 4 little holes, and then this is one of 2 burrows within this area. So we're sitting here just to kind of see if it is here. I've taken a slow walk towards the burrow. There is signs of the animal coming out and going in, so this is why we are sitting here and waiting. But fingers crossed this beautiful little animal can come out and say good morning. We've got a lot of fawn-coloured larks busy displaying right now. Glenn, do you want to catch that fawn-coloured lark for us over there? These guys are territorial, and what you're seeing here in picture, oh, where is it? It's there it is, yeah, you were right. Oh, there's another one coming right over us. You folks should be able to hear this jumbled notes, sharp jumbled notes. Oh, no, yeah, it's a little bit too high. Oh, a little tricky. Oh, Glenn doing a great job of getting that bird. Obviously a bird that is flying like that is quite tricky. But what those individuals are doing now is displaying. They're territorial, so that's a male establish himself via display, his exaggerated wing beats and flight, and as well as his call. A call is something that can be emitted quite far and can be heard from a wide range of different animals. But a fantastic morning. We're waiting for the sun to peek over the mountains, and hopefully this little animal will come out and do a little bit of sunbathing. But I can't wait to see the meerkats. I've actually missed the meerkats. You know, we do visit them on a frequent basis, and when we have these longer bouts of not visiting them, you do really miss them, their activity and seeing them and just what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, because we're learning every day, which is fantastic. But yeah, sitting patiently and just waiting is the key here. Should I move the vehicle for us, Glenn?
I'm just going to go for the sunrise.
Okay. Glenn is going to punch in here for us. Look at this. Beautiful sunrise over the Coronaberg mountain range. A very beautiful geological feature within Tswalu. And something that we love to look at.
Well, here we are, and we have been following these lionesses for quite a bit now, and here we go now. The other lioness, you see her? She's coming from, from the front, and she's really excited to see her sisters. Look at this. Yeah, I don't know what the reaction will be, but they have found each other finally. Look how excited she is. She's just can't hide the joy of seeing the sister. Oh, look at this. Such a beautiful sight, guys. But she's not very happy that they have eaten, you can tell. Yes, very, very happy. Look at this. She's going to come and say hello to the other sister. Well, it's a beautiful reunion. She's not very excited that they have eaten. And I don't know if she's going to follow them or she's just going to head out and have the freedom to find something for herself. But definitely her call from this morning paid off, and the sisters have responded and come back home, and she's so excited. Look at this, guys. I hope you're enjoying this. This is super. You can tell that she's the most lean one amongst the three, and I think being suckled on by more than 4 cubs is no joke. And so she has done her fair share of the duty, and now I think it's going to be the rest of the females. She still can't hide the joy because she's going to rub her head on her sister. You will see that, yeah, that is bonding and saying, you know, why did you leave me for this long? It is not fair, and you didn't bring anything back. And I think they're just like, it's your turn. You can go for a couple of days if you want. She might decide to do that, but at the moment they're just happy to see each other. It's amazing, you know, how it is in the wild, but they have their own way of communicating, and actually it does work and it has paid off. You have seen this. It is very, very evident. This is going to be a very successful pride. It's starting all over again because they have split quite a bit, but these 4 girls looks like most of them either have got cubs or they've dropped their cubs, and so the pride is going to come back and become very, very big. Yes, now I think it's a matter of locating the cubs for these 3 lionesses, and they're on it now. Maybe this lone lioness from earlier will lead them towards where the cubs are. I'm looking forward to finding out if we can also see them so I can share, you know, the sighting with you. This is the lioness that hasn't eaten much, and she could join the other lioness to go out hunting. You can tell that she's excited about something off to the left. We can't see it, but she's really keenly looking at it. I don't know if she's gonna go and find out or investigate more. They're quite a distance, so excuse me, let me get close so we don't lose them. Momo, Jumbo, do coalitions only exist, or are they made up of male lions? Yes. It's rare to find females tolerating other females. Very much like in humans, they will fight and claw each other and bite each other. So females don't tolerate each other, but males will actually form a very strong bond because they, you know, the many they are, more than 1 or 2 or 3, the higher the chances of them, you know, occupying a bigger territory and also dominating some females, and that's what they want. So it is rare for females to form a coalition, but males do form coalitions. They've gone off to the right. We're going to share the sighting with you. I don't know which directions they have taken, but we are sticking with them. Bungei will put them in the frame shortly for you guys, and you'll see the direction they're heading. There they are. They're out in the plains. I don't see, oh, I see the first one. She's a long ways down and looks like she's got a perfect idea where the little cubbies are. I don't know if they'll be revealed, but it's a tense moment for me, an exciting moment for me. You can tell that the lioness has decided it's time to go on her own. It's time to go and look for something. She might follow the tracks of the 3 lionesses and go out hunting because she knows where they've come from. There is something, and so it looks like it's time for her to go out hunting. Well, I'm following these girls. I'm sure we have something somewhere else for you.
Mouth-watering stuff. Welcome back on board here at Tswalu Kalahari to your very own live safari in the African wild. Amazing that everybody can join us on this fantastic morning. We have just left that Cape Fox den because that sun is peeking up over the Coronaberg mountain range, and that's what those little meerkats would want, to bask in the sun. So we've decided to leave the Cape Fox den for now and make our way slowly towards the Rockstar Burrow system to see if we have any activity. But we were just busy driving here and Glenn just said, what a beautiful scene. So we put the handbrake up and we had to appreciate. Just one of those mornings where everything just feels perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it is perfect. If you have the ability to get up and do your things, it is perfect. Very, very lucky to be gifted another day, especially on the great, beautiful continent of Africa. And then being able to share the diversity from 6 other locations, which is just incredible. As a guide, to be able to sit down and watch, or a person, just anybody, be able to sit down and watch and have the ability to understand from this very southern part of Africa all up to the east part of Africa. The diversity and the complexity with animals is just truly beautiful. But we'll send you off to another location and we'll see you later with the meerkats.
Welcome again to the Mara. We have still the wildebeest and zebra walking. It's been now about 6 or 7 minutes and still these herds are not cut off. They're still carrying on, heading to the west. If you're not for these herds, then I'm not sure how the control of grass would have been. Here in East Africa, we have about 75% of our mainlands are covered by grass, and we have about 5 different grass zones, and these herds help distribute the seeds. They help cut off and regulate the grass. We have not grass in one area. Sometimes it can be catastrophe to this species, so they come in handy. Of course, we have elephants who are very forming an ecological role and also pathways for most of the animals. We have these zebras and wildebeest who play an important role also in such kind of way. So these herds will be hanging around with them. I'm sure they'll be heading off to the river and still waiting to see what's going to happen, if they're going to turn away and head back or maybe carry on to the swamps. As you wait here and still watch this, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Created ourselves a little segment here. I spoke yesterday a lot about not moving dung in the summertime because there's so much living in it. And here you can see some termites, fungus growers, living or mining away at this elephant dung, and what they're doing basically is taking bits of it and moving back underground with it. Now, one of us tripped. The person who tripped over it will remain nameless for now, but the tripping over the dung exposed these termites, and I'm going to put them back, but it's just is interesting to have a look and see how they're operating. You still see some, BK? No. Anyway, they've disappeared now, and they've disappeared because they're extremely light sensitive, and so they'll only work in pretty extreme shade. But you can see they're slowly converting this dung into soil, and they're gaining access to wherever their nest via subterranean tunnels over there. And so if I do that, put it back where it was, they'll continue. Well, no, they won't actually. They won't continue just yet. If you look over there, to exactly where the shade was. So they move pretty quickly. And you can see there's absolutely no melanin in them whatsoever. So they're like little vampires. And they need to be in the shade. Tiny little worker termites doing their best to help out the ecology of the place, and we come and kick over their little home. Right, let me put it down. Now, this gave me thought to think, oh, here's another creature arriving. Look, BK, it's a black mamba. Yeah. It's not really, don't worry. It is a leopard. It gave me cause to think about our impact on wild systems. And we make a big song and dance about not affecting the environment in a place like this. We come in and we call ourselves observers. And certainly, apparently you can't hear me so well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the problem is. Is it all right there?
Okay.
Give me call.
Sorry about that, everyone. We are in the African bush. We just found we actually found this rhino with a tiny little calf. And Craig and I are both just saying now that we have not ever seen a tiny calf like this before. And what caught our eye first was actually a pied crow that was picking at the back of this female. There I can see the pied crow coming back again. Almost like it's sticking to the white rhinos here. And it seems like the pied crow is actually picking at the hindquarters of the white rhino, which makes us think that maybe she's got some afterbirth or something like that still around there, because this is a tiny little rhino calf. Look at that. Smaller than even a warthog. Oh my goodness, that's small. How cute is that? Oh my goodness. And it's like a little bit playful. You can just see it like bobbing its head up and down, moving with its mom. They are on the other side of a dry riverbed here, so they are moving away from us. But this is incredible. Oh, look at it run. Oh, that's so cute. See it just stay very close to mom there. And the fact that she's by herself like this with the youngster tells me that I wonder if it's even a week, or maybe it is like a week old or so. She moved away from other rhinos to give birth. Haven't you asking how much a baby rhino weighs at birth? It's different with different species, but a little white rhino like this youngster probably weighs somewhere around, I would say, 30 to 40 kilograms. Maybe up to about 50 kilograms. I'm not 100% sure, but I would estimate it at around there. Oh my goodness, look how playful it is. Every time Mom moves, it just bounces and runs towards her, almost trying to keep up. They're super cute. Oh, they are getting further and further away from us. At first, it's just the mother that caught my eye, and we thought might be even black rhino in this area. But then we just saw the tiny little youngster next to her. And how we knew that it was white rhino was just by looking at how she was feeding on the grass. Also looking at that head down low and the long narrow head. Were you asking at what age baby rhinos will start eating grass? So this youngster will probably only start nibbling on grass or so in about 6 months' time or so. And well, it will slowly but gradually start to lose interest in milk. But the way that they stop drinking milk is when they can't fit underneath their mom's body anymore. Because at some point they even lie down on their haunches to try and get to the teats. This youngster has quite a few months to go. Look at that. And the fact that it's not really moving a little bit further away from its mother, quite often they're quite inquisitive of everything, just shows you how young it is. It's staying right next to Mom there. Not keen to move even an inch too far from her. They're just about to disappear over that ridge there. That is incredible. I cannot believe we found a small rhino like this. Oh, so precious. Just see Mom on the top of the ridge there. So we've got these big open rolling hills. Well, there's quite a few bush in this area, but like most of it's dead and it's growing out at the bottom, and she's really enjoying the green grass after all the rain that we've had in the last couple of days or so. But I think they are going to disappear over the ridge pretty soon. So I think Craig and I are going to keep going, and if we're lucky they might come out on the other side there and we might get another view of them.
Welcome back. Very tricky to see this lovely bird, but it is producing quite a lovely call that is unmistakable. Toot, 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 toot. With that very big white eyebrow, and if you look very carefully between the branches, you're going to see this red patch just above the beak. Very heavy bill. And that beautiful toot, 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 toot noise. This is an acacia-pied barbet. A really nice bird to see, and a bird that we haven't managed to catch on Safari Live yet. But really nice to see it sitting nice and still there and actively calling. We actually had an individual come visit this chap over here and pass on food. So I'll have to do a little bit of reading this afternoon to see if pairs, either male or female, more than likely male, provisions food for the female before she gets ready to breed. And the tricky thing about these birds, I've seen them actually steal, or let's say hijack, sociable weaver nests at late afternoon periods. So before the sociable weavers come back to the nest, you'll find a barbet go in search of a sociable weaver nest and actually hijack a chamber for the night. It's not uncommon for them when they roost or when they breed, them using multiple other species nests, from striped swallows to cliff swallows, sociable weavers, cape weavers. So they'll go and hijack a nest for their own use, but they can make their own nest. They nest in tree cavities, either made by themselves or, and he's gone, or creating their own one as well. But a very nice bird to see, and sitting like that and calling is always just such a great treat. Birds are calling frantically this morning. Sandy, that was a new bird for you to see. Fantastic. I love it when that happens, when people have the opportunity to see new birds, because it's always really lovely, especially across this continent. We have a great variety of bird species. Not only Africa, but South Africa's got a good variety of multiple species, and that's the habitats. The habitats allow for a wide variety of birds to inhabit this beautiful part of the country. Alrighty, from here, we are going down south, and we're going to make a little U-turn, going back up west, and we're going to end up over there to see where those meerkats are.
We're still not left this place. Still lots of wildebeest coming our way, and zebras. Now when these animals are walking, they utilize a great deal of pasture, and both species eating a certain height of the grass, where we have the wildebeest getting to the taller height, and then the zebras getting to the medium, and then the rest of the animals, the plains, small antelopes, get the low level. And when they are walking like this, they actually, it's not really scientifically proven, but some experts say that when they are walking to other areas where grass has grown to get a good pasture, a thing that interests them and attracts them also is lightning and weather. Although it's not been scientifically proven, but you see sometimes during the rains, they will move or change direction from where they were going. Previously, about a week ago, we had no game here. We had no wildebeest or zebra, but it rained on this side, and I'm sure over to the eastern side, very far east, which is across the Mara River, it's been raining. But that is what can make them believe that they're attracted by that kind of weather change and weather pattern change. So our herds are very, very efficient in consuming this grass, and then heighten awareness when it comes to predators. Although we have a few zebras, but these numbers sometimes can also have what we call swarm intelligence, where they can be able to outnumber a predator and get away. We have bulls that become territorial, and they form small territories where they will RKB, thank you for your question. They are not leaders in this herd, so each and everyone can lead. Sometimes you see them splitting up and then overlapping other groups and to join other groups. So they don't have leaders. They alternate in taking turns to lead. So they don't have designated leaders in these herds. So the bulls sometimes during the rut, they will create or mark a territory where they will attract some few females to mate with them, a group of about 10 to 12. And after they've met, they carry on the long journey, mark another territory, and then mate again. So as they keep on moving, they keep on making small territory, which are temporary, not for long, because the herds are moving. They will only take like 1 or 2 days and then keep on carrying on. As these herds are coming our way still, we'll wait here, watch them, see where they're heading as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, just an update on everything. The lone lioness that was calling earlier on, if you're with us, has broken off and headed out hunting by herself, and the 3 lionesses have walked straight up here and then turned to my right, onto the bush to my right, and so I suspect that the cubs are somewhere in this bush here. If they will be revealed to us, it's going to be a bonus. But while the lioness was heading this way, it alerted these buffaloes off to our right, and you can see how alert they are. They saw the lioness, and they all stood up, and because they know they're on the menu, they have to worry. They are very alert, looking down towards the bush, but the lionesses have gone and they're nowhere to be seen, so the mood might ease from being tense to much more relaxed. They have lots of young ones and there is need to worry. That is almost a 1.5-month-old youngster there, and the mother must be very, very defensive, and so she has to be very alert. This is the Cape buffalo. This is not wildebeest. This is Cape buffalo, and they do very well here in the Masai Mara because there is plenty of food. They breed year-round, and the area we are in is perfect for them because there is plenty of grass and water and cover. We call this a breeding herd, and it usually consists of a mixture of females, half-grown sub-adults. Everybody should be here. This is a breeding herd. Looks like they're getting relaxed now and they're starting to feed. This is a very aggressive herbivore, and it would chase the lion away. It won't even hesitate to kill those cubs if it finds them. And I think it was wise for the lionesses to really just like ignore the buffaloes and go into the bushes towards where the cubs are. Was a very wise idea, but you can still tell that they're very alert. They're still making sure that they're not being stalked, because those lionesses, if they combine efforts, they can actually bring a buffalo down. One of these is a good size for them, but looks like they're not in the mood. They've, we saw that, they had eaten enough. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions, comments are very, very welcome. It has been a wonderful morning. I hope you're on the same boat, but a different seat from mine, and enjoying this morning drive, which has been wonderful on my side. That is a fully grown male. You can tell that he's been wallowing in mud to add an extra layer of mud that stops the sun from burning them, and also smothers insects so they don't get too many in their body. Everybody is alert. This is a body language thing where if one sees something, the body language will tell the other that there is something, and everybody becomes very, very alert. I can see one of the females. She's walking slightly. She's gone back to the bush. We won't show you that because she's no longer visible. We'll stick with the buffaloes because they're the ones we can see. Their eyesight is amazing. Sometimes they see things we don't see from a long way, and sometimes they reveal things that are hidden, like leopards. Snazzy, Jumbo, are these the only kind of buffalo we have in the Mara? Yes, the one and only. The Cape buffalo of the African buffalo. It is the only one found in the Mara, and actually most of Africa. It is very widespread from where I am all the way to southern Africa, even to some places in equatorial Africa, West Africa. We still have this Cape buffalo. looks like they're agitated. They see something and they mean business. They are going for it. I don't know what it is. It must be a lioness or a lion, and looks like they are going for it. And the cattle egret is joining in to spectate. It won't do much. Yeah, it's no longer a very comfortable ride for the ox. It's for the cattle egret, so they've flown down. Looks like they have spotted a lion or a lioness. The body language, the stretched out nose, head up, that means business. That means there is danger. Please come, all of you. Let's attack it. Let's get rid of it. And that is how they talk. It's just a body language. They haven't said a word, but everybody knows that we need to get out there and get rid of somebody. And that's what they're doing. I cannot see what they are going for. Maybe it will be revealed when they chase it, but definitely it's a very tense moment for them, and they are going for something. I'll take my binoculars and try and scan. Maybe I'll be able to see what it is. Bugay, do you see anything? No, I don't see anything either, but definitely they see something. And this could be a lion or a lioness. That's what they're going for. It's going to be very, very interesting. They don't do and behave like that just for nothing. Their eyesight is... Oh, there we go. There's a big male lion across the other side. Yes, they are going for that male lion. Yes. Well done, Bungay. I didn't see that. It's a long way. It's unbelievable, guys. Did you see how far that was? It's a very long way. I would say it's almost a kilometer from where I am. And they saw that, and they are going for it. Once most of them go ahead, I'll drive and see if they're going to catch up with that lion. It's quite interesting because the first one are starting to run. And I might join in to go and spectate, because that lion has got no chance with this many buffalo. Well, they know that the buffalo, they know that the lion kills them, and when they're in big numbers like this, they have to chase it and kill it. And so they are going for it. And the lion, you can tell, he's chickening out and heading out. He's looking at, you know, the kind of behavior he's portraying. He wants to be as far away as possible. He's actually trotting, he's running. He took a step. They're also not sure, the buffaloes, if he's gone to the bushes. Yeah, you can tell the lion, he just ran, past the first buffalo. He's running off in a distance. Do you see him, Bungay? Yeah, he's behind the tall tree now, the very green tree with big leaves. Yeah, there he is. He's running. He's taken off really fast. There he is. Yeah, he's still running. He knows that a big herd like this means business. He's very lucky. There's a line of trees that they couldn't go through. And so, oh, there's another lioness. That's a lioness. I think it's one of the lionesses that we had seen earlier. It's following the male. It is dangerous, and you cannot joke with this many buffalo like this. I have seen them kill a lion, and it's very easy for them to kill, that lion. They're still running, you can tell, across the other side. I think they have to go and hide. Luckily, the buffaloes have decided to stop because they could not see the lions heading out and They're not sure if they're hiding in the bushes in front, so they have stopped. And that's how lucky the lions are. I think it's no longer as tense as it was before, even for me, because I know that the buffaloes are scared of going through that area there because it's very thick bush. They don't know if the lion is ambushing from the other side, so they have stopped. It's less tense. We have seen the lion run down, but he was in an area where he was very exposed. There was no tree to run to, a hole, so it was a very dangerous situation. I think it was very smart for him to head out towards the trees. BVB, Jumbo, do lions kill even when they're not hungry? Yes, a very big yes. They usually don't know when they're going to get their next meal, so anything that prevails itself has to be killed. And remember, it is a cat built to kill. Its life exists through killing, and it won't hesitate to bring down anything that is in front of it, as long as it's a good size, even if it's fed. I will tell you that I have seen a lone lioness with 5 wildebeest kills scattered within an area of about 20 square meters. She had eaten one, opened the other one, and the rest were all intact. So they will kill for no reason. There's another lioness, you see it, quite a distance away. It looks like they're all across the other side, the lionesses. I don't know if we'll be able to see amongst the trees. We'll be able to see across. No, I think she left before you could see her. She's supposed to be somewhere there, but looks like they're searching for the cubs. The scent of the cubs is very strong, and remember the lions do pee on their hind legs and rub the urine using their paws, and when they walk they leave a scent on the ground to locate one another, and this is what they're using. They went to the spot where they first left the cubs, and they have started from there, and they're tracking the cubs. They will find them, and I'm sure they really want to suckle them because their nipples look like, they were really ready to be suckled. They have lots and lots of milk, and I'm sure those little guys are dying to suckle because they haven't received a good meal in the last 3 days since I started following that lioness. Looks like the situation has eased up. The buffaloes are sort of just there discussing. Heather, Jumbo, you ask, how long can a cub go without milk? Well, I have seen one go for about 4 days. It is very dangerous, but I have seen one go for 4 days. People will tell you that they can go up to 5, but myself, I've seen about 4 days they went without milk. And that means the mother had gone out hunting. She couldn't find something, so she decided to continue hunting until she got something and then came back. So Heather, about 4 days they can go without suckling. But usually before the mother leaves to go out hunting, she will really give them plenty and plenty of love and milk, and then she will sort of say goodbye. I don't know when I'm gonna be back, but I have to eat to produce some more milk. So about 4 days. This is beautiful. This is very beautiful scene here that we have. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm staying here for a little bit longer. Let's take you to another safari vehicle.
That sounds wonderful. Hi everyone, I'm finally out and about, and I have this gorgeous giraffe to start off the morning. They've been all over the place. I'm so glad to see so many giraffes. In fact, it's been a couple days where we'd have giraffes every day. Isn't that awesome? Hi, it's me, Trishala, and I've got a paw on camera this morning in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. And we are off to the hyena den to check what's happening. I did have a look at the other ones that are around our camp. But they were inactive. So I'm going to go down here and have a look. And the reason why I want to focus on them today is that we heard them fighting outside, in fact, right outside my room at about 3 o'clock this morning. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on. This giraffe is looking out towards the hyena den. I'm sure with that height, he has a great vantage point to actually be able to see quite well. All the way down there. When I watch them doing this lighthouse kind of behavior where they just stop and stare, but they continue to chew, makes me think that they've seen a great movie or they're watching a great movie. And they've just got their popcorn, just watching the events unfold. Won't you bring us back up another cud ball? There it comes. The largest ruminant, the giraffe. Here's a nice dark bull. Not the darkest I've seen, but a nice dark one. And he's also got some good ossifications or calcium deposits on his head. So I'm sure he's quite successful. We're also in a really great position to listen at what's going on in the bush. Really nice, in fact for the giraffe it must be great. Ears up top, eyes up top, great view across Djuma and a wonderful sense of sound too because of the incline. Well, I'm going to head off now to the den and see if there's any action or we have any clues as to what the fight was about this morning.
We've just kept on driving and we actually found the same group of rhinos that we saw last night. And interesting enough, the big dominant bull is still with the group, it seems. So you can see the mom and calf there off to the left-hand side. And there's two younger individuals and then the big bull that's in the back there. And this bull has had his head down the whole time, and Craig was just saying now, he thought he just saw the bull maybe go at some dung and maybe start chewing, but we'll keep an eye on him. Both of us haven't seen that before. There is actually phlegm and grimacing, the bull. So it's difficult to see with it, but he was picking up his lip there. So one of the rhinos, actually the youngster, urinated there after its mom as well. And the bull testing the scent and seeing if you can figure out if this female is maybe going to estrus. Also, see how he's actually scraping with his back legs there now, the bull. See that? He's scent marking on top of the scent of the females. And there he goes. So defecates there, and then quite a big one, and then kicks it around. Look how he's kicking it with his back legs there, trying to spread the scent and open it up as much as possible. And there he's trying to catch up with the rest now. Wonder if there's maybe a dung midden, a whole midden around that area that's just in the long grass that we can't see. See how he's walking with his head down low, just following the rest. I don't know if you can hear that snorting sound there. It's the female chasing some of the youngsters off. But this bull is keeping an eye on them. He doesn't want to go too close because he knows this female will definitely try and fight him off, keep him away from her little calf. You can see this calf is much bigger than the one we saw earlier. Not as small, but just as cute. See there between the back legs of the female as well. I see her teats hanging down and almost standing quite straight down. Just means that there's quite a lot of milk in there, nice and swollen. Oh my goodness, here's another bull that's just come on our right hand side. We might see something interesting now. His head is down low. He doesn't look as big as the other bull, but he just gave a bit of a snorting sound. Let's see, he's going straight to that dungmirin there. And then the wind was blowing the scent obviously straight into his direction. Let's see what he does. He might actually scent mark as well. It's going to be interesting to see what these two bulls do. See how his head is up? He can smell the other bull. He's going straight towards him. See how he's curling up his tail? Oh my goodness, we might see some interesting interactions here. I think he, like I said, he looks a little bit smaller than the other bull. So I think he knows to keep his distance. This is incredible. We have 6 rhinos just here in front of us. See this bull immediately when he realized I think it's the dominant bull, he backed off immediately. Doesn't have any scrape marks or anything like that on his face. That looks fairly fresh, so it doesn't look like he's fought anytime soon. You see one ear listening to us and the other ear listening straight to that big bull on his right hand side, on our left hand side. Just by looking at the size of him compared to the other bull, I would say he's probably about to get into his dominant phase where he would want to fight for territory and could potentially be a threat to the dominant bull's reign. But for now, I think he is just a little bit small. Maybe he lost the fight already a little bit earlier on. He hasn't started feeding yet like the other rhinos, so I think he's still trying to figure out what's going on, because the wind is blowing from the left hand side from all these other rhinos straight onto him. So that also shows us that he's not the dominant bull. The fact that he didn't go to that dungmirin and scent mark. Lena, you're asking if rhinos are able to defend themselves without their horn. So they don't really have natural predators, so they will still be able to trample and bump away any predators that try, and they'll still be able to protect themselves in that way. When fighting with other bulls, yeah, it does have some effect that they don't have the horn. The horn, I think, is quite a formidable weapon. They possibly could kill each other if they had the horn when bulls fight. But, I mean, rhinos are so endangered, so when taking the horn off like this, we are obviously protecting them, and we've had a lot of success with poaching, but also protecting them against each other in a way. But they can definitely defend themselves. They are built like little tanks, and they can definitely use their body weight and even the horn that has been trimmed to protect themselves. This bull actually looks like he was in the mud not too long ago. Quite a lot of dried mud on his back and his side there, actually flaking away a little bit. See that those ears are like just one listening to my voice the whole time, and the other one listening towards the rhinos. He's actually following them a little bit. Quite interested in the rest of the rhinos. They do like to form little social groupings. Interesting to see two big bulls close to the females and the youngsters like this. We've been super lucky with white rhinos this morning. Wow. And even though it's nice and windy as well, often when it's windy like this, because they rely so much on their sense of hearing and smell, as you can see, his eyes are tiny. They'll often move into thick areas because the wind takes away from those senses. But I think they're using the break in the rain that we have to feed it as much as they possibly can. All the other rhinos, the female with the youngsters and the calf, are walking down the hill behind the spill here. Are heading down into a bit of a drainage or dry riverbed, and I think it's possibly to get out of this wind as it's picking up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of days if these bulls keep on following them. They might started to lose interest and keep on doing some territorial patrols, especially the dominant bull. Turning towards us, still smelling the ground and smelling to where the other rhinos are coming from. See how he's picking his head up. And at last starting to feed a little bit. Kind of lost interest of them, probably realized not the best idea for him to keep on following them, especially with that dominant bull around. Might be put on his place. But you can see this is still a big bull. Got that big muscle behind his neck to help with fighting and to hit stuff with those horns. Let's see, he's now walking back to the right hand side towards that dung midden. You are asking if a rhino can get bigger than a hippo. White rhinos are a little bit bigger than hippos. Black rhinos, however, I think they are probably similar size. But a hippo is a little bit shorter than a white rhino. And they might be a little bit longer, but I think a white rhino is a little bit bigger than a hippo. Let's see, he's now also on the move. He's not really walking directly to where the other rhinos have gone, but the fact that he's zigzagging a little bit, turned back and then now back that way, means that he's happy to keep on feeding. But I think for now we're gonna leave these rhinos and let them keep on feeding, and then Craig and I are gonna see if we can find something else.
From the rhinos to the hyenas here in the Mara, and these two hyenas are actually mating pair. We just seen them mating twice. You can see the one to the left is actually bigger than the one to the right. So in the sexual dimorphism of hyenas, you find that the females are bigger or larger than the males. Okay, they're now mating again. So these matriarchs, or the female hyenas, are the ones that call the shots. They're the ones who decide on who to mate with. And in most of the time, you find that the hyenas live in a clan, and the males, they're going again. As I was saying earlier, the female hyenas are the ones that call the shot. Within the clan, they have males, but the males in the natal clan don't get to mate with the females. We have males who are immigrants from other clans who come and are welcomed by these other hyenas, and they're the ones that will mate with the females. And these hyenas, matriarch, are the ones that call the shot. They're the ones who will decide who to mate with, who will sire their pups. They isolate themselves. Well, that's a little bit of aggression. She's not quite happy. They will leave the clan and maybe sometimes walk to the edges of the clan's territory where they will go and mate. This sometimes will take about 3 to 4 days, and after that she will return back to the clan. This is so interesting when you find them out here. We don't always see them mating, but when you come across this, it's so interesting to see, because both of them have what you call pseudo penis, and it's actually very interesting to see how they're mating, because sometimes you find that the female has to place forward her pseudo penis so that it can allow penetration. A little bit of cleaning there. So the males within the clan that have not yet dispersed don't have any authority whatsoever to mate with the females within the natal clan. After this meeting is over, they'll return back to the clan and carry on with the activity. And sometimes when they're doing this, they will mark their territories or extend over the territory where they are. We see lots of that happening because they're going back again. Sometimes the females are quite aggressive to these males who are actually smaller in size. Sarah, thank you for your question. The mating always lasts for about 3 to 4 days. So even though these immigrant males are dominated by the entire clan, but they do all the mating. So the males are not from the clan, but they're dominated by the rest of the members. Oh, she is super aggressive. coming to investigate and check the car, see if you are intruding their territory or their privacy. Sometimes we've seen hyenas coming close to the cars, and sometimes they bite off, they chew off the tire and anything hanging on the cars. They have a very strong jaw. Sometimes they chew off tires. I've seen about 2 times when actually punctured our vehicle. So if this is successful, she'll produce a litter in about It's so fascinating how they've come to pick the vehicle for their mating, and also using the vehicle as a shade there. They have a strong sense of smell. Look at how she's sniffing there. So interesting. I don't know what she's looking over in that direction. Lorena, thank you so much for your question. The gestation period lasts for about 110 days. So if this is successful, it will take about 110 days for them to produce a litter. I'm going to hang around here, see what these hyenas are up to and how long this will take as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, Jumbo, my lions decided to hide in the bushes and the buffalo sort of relaxed. So I decided to move on, not very far off. I have come across this beautiful herd of elephants, and looks like they're having a conversation. And looks like they're not very comfortable with something, especially how they are like putting the young ones in the middle and then facing all out, the adults. I don't know what they had, but definitely there was some sort of communication. We have no shortage of this kind of herds in the Mara. They are doing really well, and these guys are very, very lucky to be where they are right now, where it's very lush, it's green, there is water, there is trees, there is plenty of very soft grass. And so it is just perfect, and it's a very huge herd. You know, it's plus minus maybe 50 altogether. They're all spread out. These are just the first few, but they're just everywhere. This elephant, they reside here. They usually roam around the Mara, and the total area of the Masai Mara, it's 1,500 and almost 10 square kilometers. So it's a huge area. The adjacent land close to the Masai Mara Game Reserve is almost 3 times, and it's very well protected with only a few areas where there's human habitation. Of course, they do know how to avoid humans, so they can roam within this huge expanse of land in search of what they need. Led by the female matriarch, they can be where they need for a certain reason. Either it's salt, either it's a certain type of tree, either it's a certain type of grass. She will lead them to this particular area. So they have enough land, and unlike humans where they stick around one area and erode or overpopulate or overgraze the land, elephants are very smart, or all animals are very smart. They will know that they have utilized enough of an area, and they will move on, and leaving lots of manure in that area, so the sun dries up the manure and the rain falls, and so they actually fertilize their future food while they move on, and then others will come and utilize the same in the next grass like that. And that is the cycle of life here. They never stick around in one area for very long. If you see an area where elephants have broken down trees and they've almost destroyed all trees, it means that they have been cornered, they have been forced to stick to that area. Either the movement is restricted during the day, and so they decide to stay in one spot so that they can move at night, and while doing that they will destroy a lot of vegetation. Unlike here, they roam freely, the area is huge, and so we don't see evidence of them overgrazing or destroying trees in one particular area. In this herd, there is particularly quite some huge females. The one to the left there, I would say he's a male, but the second one, you can say he's got a very angular forehead, that's a female, and quite a number of them are all females and the offspring. Remember, this is one of the few animals with the oldest gestation period. Yeah, that is a male to the left there, and it carries its young for almost 2 years, just less 2 years, and every about 6 years it will give birth. So it's a very slow in population or in giving birth, but they do really, really well. Chris, thank you for your beautiful comment. It's so nice to see how they protect the young one. Yes, they're very smart elephants, and they have the capacity to reason, when danger is really up, and they can actually put the young ones in the middle. You can tell there was something that was communicated, because there is no much movement. The little ones are sort of feeding on something there, but you see every time the matriarch, who is second from left, moves, everybody just moves. I don't know if they don't like the lone guy to the left, and so they're following instructions from the matriarch. These guys live the longest amongst most animals, at the age of around 70. It's one animal that never reaches menopause. So for females, they'll give birth even at 65. Amazingly, if a female dies at a very old age and leaves a young one, another female that is lactating will adopt the little one. And if not, and there's no member of the herd producing milk, the urge to suckle the little one kicks in, and a female will start producing milk within about 48 hours for the little one. So they have amazing capability to adapt. Yeah, looks like another smaller herd from the right is joining them. Like I said, it's one very big herd. It was very scattered. Looks like they're gathering up, they're coming together. It's always nice to see this kind of herd together, because some areas of Africa, this is an animal that is disappearing. It is disappearing very, very fast. And to see huge numbers like this is just wonderful. I hope you're liking this. questions, comments are very, very welcome. Surprising thing is, with this big animal like this, they have one of the poorest eyesights of all animals. And they can only see about 20 meters, which is around 60, 70 feet. But their sense of smell and hearing is equivalent to none. They can smell something or hear something up to 2 miles away. That is just mind-boggling. I'm staying here because this is very interesting. Let's find out what else is live with another vehicle somewhere.
Oh, Isaac, I would love to find some elephants too. That's what I'm going to be looking for, but I keep getting stopped by the mushrooms that are sprouting around all over the place. Here we have what looks like a shaggy mane or a shaggy ink cap. It's already quite mature because when they're young, you can see that they've got that shaggy bit on the top, scales on the cap. But you can see that towards the bottom, it's quite dark, almost black, purple black. And that's how I know that it's maturing. In fact, probably quite mature. If I had to pick this one and eat it, it would be too far gone. Although the young ones that are not black yet, those apparently are quite good. In fact, they're harvested or cultivated in China. Now, the reason for that black inky substance is that the little spores, which is how a mushroom reproduces by releasing spores, that black liquid holds those spores. And it undergoes a process called autodigestion. So if I had to pick this now, within a few minutes, you would see black liquid dripping down and oozing. And when they're mature, these ones, you'll find that cap will spread out and kind of turn or curl a little bit, and there'll be black goo or liquid just kind of streaming down the stem of it. I've been seeing quite a lot of them around. It's nice to see one that's at least not fully mature, where it's curling and you can see the shaggy cap bits. It's a mushroom that's quite common in gardens across South Africa. And like I said, you can eat it. But with all mushrooms, disclaimer, unless you are 100% sure about the idea of the mushroom, which will involve taking spore prints, do not eat it. Because there are many mushrooms that mimic others, and one may be fatal, while the other would be a tasty side dish. Love them. Love mushrooms. Well, I'm going to move on. We have gone past all of the hyena dens and none are active. So now I'm going to go look for some elephants.
With those few rhinos, and we actually came across a big herd of buffalo deer. They're just in between the thickets now, but they're slowly feeding and on the move. They were out in the open earlier, but they're coming towards these thickets here because I think of how the wind's picking up. But all of them with their heads down and feeding. Wow, what a variety we've had on Phinda this morning. Seeing rhinos, we've had quite a lot of zebra and wildebeest around as well, and now some buffalo. There's quite a few youngsters in between here. You can see a lot of females. There's a younger one coming across the open clearing in between these trees now. It's got quite a nice set of horns or coming out already. So a little bit older than some of the other ones that we've seen. Could hear them grunting earlier as they chase each other away from some of the grass that they love to feed on. Trying to compete. Oh, there's a youngster that's right behind its mom there, just off to the left-hand side. Look at all of them. Actually starting to move a lot more now. I think there's like patches of where the grass is maybe not as nice, and as they move through them, they actually just keep on walking till where they get to a spot where it's a little bit more palatable. Just want to quickly have a look through the binoculars. There's actually a big bull further off to the left-hand side. See if we can get a view of him. So the fact that he's moving far in the back like that looks like it might be quite an old bull. Maybe he's on the edge of just leaving the herd. You can see lots of hair missing on his back there. You can see it's a big bull just by looking at that boss that he has, is the helmet on his horns, on his head there. So as he gets older and older, he's going to try and move away from the herd because he is going to start to lose the ability to mate, and then he'll move away from the herd so that he doesn't have to compete for grass. But hopefully he can find some other bulls that he can stay with. We're just about to lose the rest of the herd. You can see a couple of individuals there in the back, but they're slowly moving into the thickets to the right. See the beautiful grassland in the background there. Scotty, you're asking if buffalo also phlegm and grimace? Yes, they do indeed. I think we actually saw some of them phlegm and grimace yesterday, one or two bulls. But they do also smell the scent of the females, the bulls, and even sometimes the females phlegm and grimace if they need to find out some information of another buffalo, smell the scent and then pick up their lips just like most of the other animals do, and pass that air through the Jacobson's organ in the roof of their mouth to taste the scent and to taste the hormones and stuff that's maybe in the scent. Oh, there's a big female that's coming across this open clearing now. See how wide those horns are, but does not have the thick horns that the bulls do. Because the females just have it for protection, but not really to fight with other bulls or for dominance or anything like that. Remember that bulls now also moved in behind these thickets, so we might see them sooner or later coming out into this little clearing, into this window that we have here. Can hear quite a lot of, oh look at that one just looking straight at us. Can hear quite a lot of red-billed oxpeckers flying in between them. Actually one sitting on this one's back, all keeping an eye on us. There's red-billed oxpeckers, like the other name suggests, the tick birds, like feeding on the ticks and all the eggshell parasites on these buffaloes, but they also are very good security guards for these buffaloes, keeping an eye out and making a noise or flying off if there's any danger that comes close by, and buffalo will obviously realize that and pick up their heads and maybe see what's coming or going. A few individuals still coming, but the herd has really moved quite a bit in the last few minutes, but I think we're going to leave them and let them carry on feeding into these thick areas, and then see if we can keep on carrying on and look for something else.
It's wonderful watching those birds on those big hoofed ungulates. It's always a treat. We have a lot of cloud cover pulling in. The wind has picked up. Like I said, it's about between 14 and about 16 degrees Celsius now, which is about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is the sun, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the moon. So with these cold conditions that we're experiencing right now, those meerkats to come out is going to be a very unlikely event. So what we have been doing is trying to look for the smaller animals that would be basking in the sun, something like a bat-eared fox. But I think we're going to change our plan of action, and we're actually going to head up to Mother and 2 that we had yesterday. So part of our tracking team is actually helping us this morning, and they have located her. So they're about 7 kilometers north of us, and they have moved into a position where we have better signal, and they've moved out that little ravine line. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this area, and we're going to go shoot straight up there and see with that Mother and 2 what they're busy up to. Hopefully with this cooler weather they will be a little bit more active on us. They are moving. I heard from the trackers now that they've just sat down, so that's perfect. Gives us time to move up there, and once we're up there, hopefully we have some good activity. But it is very chilly. The wind, it's cold. Meerkats do come out when it's cold, but the wind is the large factor that will be detrimentally affecting these little animals. They are small, so the amount of heat that they'll be losing on a day like today would be huge. So on very cold, very windy, rainy, especially rainy days, if it's chilly, meerkats do not even emerge from the burrow. They can't, because they will lose so much energy, so much body heat, that they could actually end up dying if it prevails. So in cold days like this, they will push that emergence time as far as they possibly can. So from here, we're going to send you off to another amazing location, and we'll see you shortly.
We have got ourselves a herd of buffalo here, and they are walking towards us, the wind blowing away from them towards us. So from a wind point of view we're safe, but 1 or 2 sharper ones have spotted us already. They haven't given an alarm. They don't seem to be particularly worried about the situation, but we're going to have to be pretty careful, because the bush is thick around here. There are probably about 300 buffalo in the area, and we need to make sure that we are not in the way if they get a fright. Yeah, we need to be pretty careful here. Okay, guys, let's move. Yeah, they're getting too close now, so we're going to carry on down the road here. It's always very exciting, but slightly nerve-wracking as well. And every situation is slightly different. Come on this side, BK. Every situation is slightly different and requires you to rethink what you know and what you don't know.
We have decided to follow the lone lioness that left the other lionesses and see how far she has gone. I don't know if we'll be able to find her, but she headed into this direction. There is plenty of wildies and zebras in that direction. Finding her might be hard, but might be also easy if she's still out in the plains, and that means we can spot her from a distance. It is really nice that those other females came back just in time so that she can go out and make a meal, because she was looking really desperate. And for the days I've seen her, 3 days, I don't know, maybe another 2 days before that, she hadn't eaten, and she looked like she really needed a meal. So it's perfect timing for the females to come back. The one thing is, I'm not sure who's the father of all these cubs. Warren, Jumbo, my friend, you ask, how do we keep animals from going into villages? Well, number one, they're very afraid of us, and they will avoid us with all means. And secondly, we actually have encroached onto their land, and if they want to come, they can come, but they will avoid us. So there is some areas where the Maasai have put fences to protect their cattle, sheep and goats, and that is from hyenas, leopards and lions. But from things like buffalo, elephant, giraffe, you cannot actually stop the animals from coming to the village. But you have to be aware of the animals, and when we go to sleep is when they're really active. So there's no way to protect. You just have to live with it, but they can avoid us, we can avoid them. This is another very big herd of buffalo. I don't know if you can see it. I'll stop so I can share it with you. It wasn't here this morning, so I don't know where it just arrived from. Maybe it came up from the escarpment and they just came down, and it's a huge herd. I think it is the largest in this area. It is very, very, very big. I estimate maybe 500 of them. It is a very big herd of buffalo. Look at them. They're just everywhere. Just everywhere. It's a very big herd. Yeah, it's very well widespread. We're going to be getting closer, but you can see how huge it is from here. It is a very, very big herd. I'm going to try and get closer because they're crossing the road over there. It's always nice to see them closer, but it's a surprise that they just appeared out of the blue. Maybe they are in a mission to come and have a drink down here because there is plenty of water, and also the marsh is very conducive and it can hold a lot of animals. It looks like they're still coming from way up there and headed into this direction. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Masai Mara in the Mara Triangle. Talk to us. Hashtag WildEarth. Questions and comments are still very welcome. I don't know for what reason they just came here, but maybe is that Toti? You would like to know who is the pathfinder in the buffalo? I don't think there is a leader in buffalo. What happens is the urge to find whatever they need pushes them, and usually one takes the lead. It could be a female or a male, and everybody else follows. Like you can see here, they're very scattered. It doesn't look like there's any leader anywhere. They just arrived here and got scattered. So there is no particular leader, but whoever feels the need to find some fresh water leads. Whoever feels like changing the diet from this type of grass to the other, and she knows where it is, will lead. So there's no like a leader in buffalo. It's just anybody can decide to move on, and everybody moves on. I'm staying here with this buffalo because they really look like they're going to come towards me. I'm going to stick around with them for a little bit longer, and let me take you to another live safari vehicle in a different location.
From the buffaloes to the wildebeest herd and zebras, I can see now they've decided to run. Even though they have no leaders that will take turns to lead this herd, you can see that they have small calves. Sometimes when they're walking through the bushes, they are tempted to run because they're not sure what's hiding behind the bushes. And that's why they prefer walking in the open plains, open habitat where it's clear enough, where they can watch around. And as one decides to run, then the rest follow. It's just an instinct that picks in. Maybe there might be danger there, so that's the reason why you can see all of them running. Look at how fast they are. You see the teeny tiny calves running or pacing with their mothers. they can also outrun predators super well. But the zebras are just walking slowly. Nothing has triggered them. But you see what happens? They stop away, wait and look around, scan if there's danger looming. Safari lover, thank you so much for your question. Why do the wildebeest and zebras migrate together? Because, one, the reason why they migrate is for breeding and feeding. So these wildebeest that migrate come here because of good pasture, and because of the rains, they'll come here to feed. Secondly, those two have different browsing level. You find the wildebeest will prefer the taller bit of the grass, while the zebra will take on the medium, and then the rest of the antelopes take the low level. And with this, it also helps in security, heightened alert of predators who zebras have a very, very sharp eye, and sometimes when they alarm, they warn the wildebeest. And that is primarily one of the main reasons that they prefer hanging around together. So there's about 7 of them, and you can find that they have one stallion that is dominant, who will always be controlling them. And if they mix with other zebras, he will still be the dominant stallion, making sure that no other stallion comes within those mares. I'm still going to follow these herds. You can see over in the foot of the escarpment, there's lots of wildebeest. They're all walking towards the east. And maybe tomorrow there might be a big crossing, depending on the weather, because sometimes weather keeps on changing their movement and direction. So I'll just follow them slowly and see where they're heading. This is a beautiful scenery, and as we follow these herds, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, another very beautiful scene that we have here. The scene cannot be set better than this. Look at the sky, look at the escarpment. The grass is just beautiful. After the rains about 10 days ago, it's just super green, and that's why all these grazers are here. Remember, buffaloes eat only grass, unlike other herbivores and herbivores that feed on brush plus grass. Buffaloes feed entirely on grass, and this is perfect setting for them. Is just grass galore, grass overload. It's just everywhere, and it is perfect for them. You can tell how they have all their heads down feeding on it. Remember, they are ruminants, and so they'll fill their bellies, and then once they are full, they'll sit down and let the bacteria in their large intestine break down the cellulose that is in the leaves, in the grass, so that it's easy to digest, and then regurgitate it, and then utilize and chew it properly before taking to the other 3 stomachs before they let it out. The Cape Buffalo is one of the few grazers that never leave the Mara. They're always here. They don't migrate. Their numbers have increased over the years, and the reason is there is enough grazing land, and so there is nothing to worry about them. The herd you see here is approximately, I would say, maybe 500 plus, and these guys play a very big role in making sure that this grass is properly grazed on and utilized. Otherwise, it will go to waste they've shortened it so that other antelopes can come and feed on the shorter grass. Also, they become a meal to all our local resident pride lions when all the larger game is gone. Surely it is hard to bring them down, but the prides here are of more than 4 females, so they will find a meal amongst all these. They don't go down easy. They can actually kill lions, but lions and some prides have mastered, the way to bring down these huge guys. They can weigh up to around 900 kilos, and those horns are lethal. They are not endangered anywhere in Africa, so their numbers are doing very, very well. I'm going to try and get closer to the ones in front with all the oxpeckers. Toby, Jumbo, how are wildebeest and buffalo horns different? The material is the same. It's compressed, small hairs, just very much like our fingernails. But I would say the buffalo are slightly larger and wider. That is the difference. And the buffaloes use them more than the wildebeest. So that is the only difference. The buffaloes, the middle here, the boss is wider, and also they are larger. The wildebeest, they're slightly smaller, but the material is the same. So it's a very slight difference, is in size only. Here you can tell that the cattle egrets are loving this section, and I think the reason is there is lots and lots of grubs on the grass, and that's why the cattle egrets are here. Look at that guy, how he's got his nose raised. That is an alarm pasture. Is to tell everybody that there is human beings, and human beings are not very good. Yeah, that raised up nose tells everybody around that beware humans around. I don't think they can see me, but they can hear my voice. Those huge ears are for listening. Look at him. He's a young bull, looks in perfect condition. He's going to be one big buff. Unlike other antelopes that have got their ears above the horns, the buffaloes usually have their horns under. Usually they look like they're very lazy, but these guys can catch top speeds of up to 60 kilometers an hour. Yes, when they run, it's like a tank going through a desert or a bush. So they're very, very fast and strong. Related to our domestic cows, few differences is only that they possess that anger. They're very aggressive, and also the young ones suckle from in between the hind legs. A very slight difference from our domestic animals, the cow. That is mainly the difference. The gestation period is still very much the same, 11 months. So there's no difference in many things. They are ruminants. Maybe he understands English. He had me say they're ruminants and then stopped all of a sudden. Warren, Chief Jumbo, you ask if buffaloes do cross the river. Yes, they do. Because the park is separated by the Great Mara River, sometimes we get more rain on either side, and if they utilize and reach the river and smell the grass on the other side and think that it's very fresh, then they will cross the river. I have seen them cross. They do cross the river. It's not very common. Not very many people have seen it, yes, but they do cross the river. But there is nothing much forcing them to cross apart from that, because there is plenty of grass. And like I explained before, unlike domestic animals where they graze in the same spot, animals know how to leave a spot ready for the future, and they don't stick on it very long. As soon as they utilize it, they'll move on. Buffalo does that, and so before they decide to cross, it takes a very long time. I've seen it, I think, a handful of times. So they do cross the river, Warren. Yeah, that is a female, really alert on us, making sure that I don't get out. I don't think it can see me, but it can hear the voice coming out of the vehicle. Look at that sight. Yeah, I can tell that the cattle egrets are taking full advantage, following really closely so that they don't miss out on a chance to, grab that grasshopper or a spider that's trying to run away from the mouth or the hooves of the buffalo. Look at that. It's like they're the bodyguards on either side. Well, the temperature is sort of warming up slightly. I might have to shed my warm jacket soon, but it's really beautiful. Very few clouds, so it's going to be another very hot day. We started out at 16 degrees Celsius, but I think we're going to get to around 29 by midday. Around 1 o'clock, the temperature is going to soar. Yeah, that's another youngster, another young bull enjoying the grass. And the cattle egrets are really taking advantage, full advantage of the buffaloes kicking or disturbing the insects. Another youngster trying to check me out. He's learnt well from the older ones. He knows how to try and smell me and pick me up. Well, I'm going to stay here a little bit longer with these guys. Maybe something will pass by. Remember, I'm still looking for that lone lioness that left the other three in this marsh. If I find it, I'll share it. So let's see what another safari vehicle is doing.
Here we have found ourselves a giraffe, very calmly feeding on some knobthorn. In fact, I think it's black monkey thorn. And that's great because he certainly presents less of a challenge than viewing buffalo on foot. He's fully aware of us and what we're doing. Well, maybe not what we're doing, but he's certainly fully aware of us and enjoying his meal regardless. And in total consistency with our experiment, he is a dark giraffe and he's on his own. You can see, I don't know how many of you were watching yesterday, but you can see that his patches are sort of black as opposed to that reddish color of the paler ones. I also just found the most astounding little construction, which I shall bring to you now. By an insect of some sort. Tiny little grass and perfectly placed into the construction of what must be a protection for a pupa. Isn't that cool? Now, I don't know if its occupant is still inside, so I'm not going to break it open, tempting as it is. I'll just leave it, because if it is still inside, it looks pretty sealed. And if it is still inside, it's probably just a mush. If you ever want to really be awed by birth, or how mysterious it is, how astonishing, you could go further than just reading up on metamorphosis in the insects, how a caterpillar becomes literally a liquid mush inside the chrysalis and eventually becomes a butterfly, reconstitutes into a butterfly. It's totally ridiculous when you think about it. A caterpillar doesn't just grow wings, it becomes mush and then reconstitutes out of the
Sorry about that, guys. I am sitting here looking at a slug. I promise it is a slug. When we stopped close by, it stopped moving. Obviously, because it wants to protect itself and act like it's just a poo. Because that's what it looks like. You can slowly see its little eyes popping out. See the front there? Going back in. I think it's gonna move again. It's amazing how it can contract its body. It's basically half the size as it was. It's so awesome to see all these creatures that are moisture loving coming out, walking around. Still need to get the giant African lance now. Haven't found one yet since the rains. At least we have a slug. I don't know what species this is. Slug is really just a common word for any gastropod mollusk that doesn't have a shell or has a reduced shell. Sometimes even an internal shell. Oh, we've really, really hidden away. Good thing you need to cross the road. Someone else might not stop for you. You can actually see the trail that it's used to walk across. Snails and slugs can produce different types of mucus depending on what they want to do. So when they're on a nice smooth surface, they produce a really nice watery, almost watery mucus. If they want to get up a hill, then they get this thick viscous mucus that they produce. And that helps them get along, obviously. Very, very cool. Vinny, you'd like to know what do slugs feed on? Slugs are actually one of the few animals that feed on my favorite things around here, mushrooms and fungi. They're like lichen. They basically are generalists, so they'll eat anything that is organic that they can get their radulas on. They'll even go after bits of meat, carrion, that is. They won't go hunting. They're not predators, but they will eat a carrion too. I have heard that there are some predatory slugs. I'm not sure if we get them here. I'm not even sure if they're land slugs. But I have heard of them. We're making slow movements. Slow movements. There we go. How cool is that? You can see those optical tentacles where its eyes are looking around. Yes, good for you. You've crossed the road.
Welcome back to the Red Sands. Yay! And look who has decided to emerge out of the burrow. We decided just to make a little bypass just to make sure. And we saw one little head out. We came down here, set up, and we saw a few more heads popping out of the burrow. That mother and two have moved towards the mountain where it's almost impossible for us to get signal. She's in a very tricky valley system where the signal is not the greatest, but we are very happy to have these little guys out and about. We haven't seen them for a couple of days. I thought they just didn't want to be around us maybe, but all is in order. Carrying on with the daily routine, which is a bit of bait maintenance in the burrow system and a bit of sunbathing. So like I mentioned just before, with these cooler conditions, these need to be prevailing conditions over 2-3 days. So for example, if we had one day of bad weather and these animals do not feed, that night their body mass can drop 5% over a night. So it's vital that the weather conditions play along and these animals get out to feed. They need to, otherwise their body condition will deteriorate at a very rapid rate. They are generating so much heat. In comparison to a larger animal that doesn't experience much of this, something like an elephant, where its body heat is kind of stable with the environment itself. Little organisms have a tough time regulating and conserving body heat, and that's why if you have very, very unfavorable conditions, they will take longer to come out to when it's best suiting them to be active. But what a delight. I'm so happy to be here and I'm so happy to see them. And you go 2-3 days and you actually really do miss viewing them. Guarding here at Tswalu and you're here every 2-3 days, you somewhat do take it for granted. And when you don't see them, if you go on holiday and you see them, you really do appreciate them. Liam, is a meerkat bigger than a mongoose? It depends which mongoose species you're talking about. The meerkat is part of this very wide or complex group of mongoose-like species called Herpesidae. So this group of animals has a special anal gland that is used for scent marking their homes. So it depends on what species you're talking about. Some species you do get are a bit lighter in body mass. These guys' body weight is anywhere between 600 and about 900 grams. So on that figure, you can just, other mongooses, it'd be around about the same. So, but you do get mongoose species which are a little bit heavier, and ones which are a little bit lighter in body mass. But these guys, anywhere between 600 and 900. Obviously, that higher body mass, that would definitely be a pregnant female with extra little babies, or extra little bit of weight in her tummy. But fairly light animals in terms of how far, or small and light animals in terms of how far these little animals range. But great question. If that's the same Liam as yesterday asked about the pink eyelids of that Verreaux's eagle owl, I still have not come up to a solid conclusion of why they have or possess those pink eyelids. But it's still in my book, and I will be in hot pursuit for a good, solid answer for us. But what a shot Glenn is giving us there. Look at the little ones just peering past the stomach of the adult, just observing us. Karen, would it be hard for them to walk upright? Yes. Their body design, their leg design, and as well as their spine wouldn't allow them to walk upright like that. Propping themselves upright, they do have the advantage of that tail used as a tool right now to stabilize the animal. So the animal, you can see it's actually propping itself and pushing itself with its tail. So it's pushing itself with its body backwards and the tail is pushing itself forward. So there's a counteracted balance there, or property there. But there we go. You fell asleep, you fell forward. But for them to walk upright would be nearly impossible. They won't have the balance if it wasn't for the tail to balance them upright like that. They do have somewhat of a human-like figure there, standing upright. Sometimes very comical to see them with their stomachs out and their chests in while they're busy sunbathing. But great question, would it be difficult for them to walk upright? I never ever thought about that. Obviously the spot where the neck attaches onto the head is a very important part, and how that attachment of the cranial base sits, and as well as their legs. Their legs won't really enable them to walk step by step. See, a lot of them actually falling asleep. They're snoozing, or they're snoozy. A lot of them having that off balance. Oops. But first order of business to warm up, and they're going to be doing that, and then they'll more than likely be moving on for the next 20 or 30 minutes so we've still got a bit of time here.
There's nothing as interesting as watching meerkats. Now, here in the Mara we have a bird of prey, and I'd like to ask our viewers the name of this raptor. You always see it solitary up on trees. Sometimes you might see them hunting. A very, very unique bird, and almost commonly seen here. It's a solitary bird, very, very territorial. Its diet consists mainly of small mammals, rodents. Thank you for your answer. Not quite. Tony's are a little bit brownish, so this is a little bit dark black in color. Thank you for a good trial. Bianca, well done. Thank you for your answer. Yes, this is a long-crested eagle. A very unique bird. You can always see them perch. And the unique thing about this bird is only the crest can be seen from a long distance away. Very handsome-looking birds. Thank you so much, Bianca. So this bird is central, looking for rodents, mammals. Sometimes they even go for snakes, lizards. It's a little bit windy, so this bird is a little bit balancing there. Strong winds. Sometimes you see these birds in pairs, and when they're nesting, their chicks, after they hatch, they'll be dependent on their parents for about 2 to 3 months. I've once seen a nest being preyed upon by baboons. Sometimes baboons can be omnivorous. They eat meat. Sometimes they'll take small mammals, rats. Sometimes I've seen them going over for baby Thompson gazelles. And they'll definitely prey on chicks. So these birds can sit there for hours and hours waiting for prey just to emerge in the long grasses. So I'll just leave him to still scan as I carry on to look for something else. So as we drive through this savannah, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
I'm here at the marsh, but a totally different angle. You can see the elephants are inside the marsh. They're enjoying the really soft grass, normally referred as noodles or spaghetti. I think they don't actually need to chew it. They can swallow it. What you see over there, the really black dots, those are not wildebeest. That is the big herd of buffalo I just shared with you on my last segment. And they're all heading towards the marsh also. I think they need some water. It's a very, very big herd. You can tell here the color of grass is totally different. Very, very green. The water table is very close to the surface, so everything is very green. And these are Roshan Jumbo. How often does stampedes experienced? They are very rare. They are very rare. I think I have seen them during migration mostly, and usually it's by the river crossings. Maybe in the near future, I or one of my fellow guides will be able to share that with you. But what happens with stampedes is that there is a large gathering of wildebeest ready to cross, and they all gather up in a very narrow entrance towards the crossing, and then all of a sudden one is pushed and everybody starts running, and then they create a stampede. But there are very, very few stampedes that I've experienced or that we experience here in the Mara. Back to our marsh, and let's see what else is here. Usually when you look without binoculars and with your just bare eyes, it looks like it is very empty. But I call this the theater of dreams, where when you come, there will be a hippo, there will be a buffalo, there will be an elephant. You see that? That is another elephant. It means it's a bull. Bulls tend to hang all by themselves, and they love it here because every time they pull out a chunk of grass, it comes with water, and so they don't really need to drink. Also, if it warms up, they just need to take to mix a little bit the mud and the water, and they just throw it on their backs. It acts as sunblock, so it is perfect. The trees on the backdrop there, that is all like the fencing to the Mara River. Oh, what is that? Looks like a saddle beanstalk. Yeah, a saddle beanstalk. It's one of our largest stalks, standing at around 4 feet, and it's really, really long and tall. They pair for life. They're usually in twos, so there could be another one somewhere. It is this guy here. I can show you the saddle beanstalk. Don't know if you will show them. It's over here. It's a saddle billstock. This one here, it's the saddle billstock. A really colorful bird. A really colorful bird. You see it? And the difference between and female is that the female has got a yellow eye and the male has got only a brown eye. Saddle billstock. It's one of our largest stocks. A really beautiful big bird. He's the guy that just flew over there in front of the elephant. Well, this marsh actually serves as a source of water and grass for all the animals in the really dry season, that is from end of December to February, and from June all the way to almost October. But due to global warming in the current years, we've been having localized rains, and that's why there is plenty of green grass everywhere else apart from here. The same thing has forced the wildebeest to stay much longer than expected. I'm gonna move further down a little bit, see what else we can show you. But I'm still very close to the marsh, and around the corner in front of me, I don't know what I'll find. There's always a surprise when you get close to a corner like this. There could be a surprise. It has happened to me a few times. Remember to continue talking to us. Hashtag WildEarth. Questions and comments are very welcome. And I'll continue driving, see if I can find something else for you down this way. And while I do that, let me take you to another safari vehicle.
That's very fitting from Isaac. Theatre of Dreams, that's very cool. So I've just pulled some information from my hard drive on that previous question. Is the meerkat one of the smallest? So you have a species called the dwarf mongoose that would only be weighing between 200 and about 350 grams. So that's a very small species in comparison to this one. And then you get a larger species called the banded mongoose, and they're up to about 1 kilogram. So you can see the meerkat's almost somewhere in the middle when it comes to, or towards the middle and upper spectrum of body mass. But these guys are still doing a little bit of maintenance, and this cooler weather does keep them here for longer. So for viewing purposes for us is absolutely perfect. A lot of maintenance from the burrow, a lot of grooming going on, and once that all is done, then it's off. Oh, look at that. Little social grooming going on there. That's very important, to get to the places that you cannot reach, whereas your partner, your clan member, can help you out to remove something that's lodged in a fur or in a parasite. It's very nice when you... Blackback jackal. And see how they're all alert to the sound. So a blackback jackal would be one predator that these little animals need to watch out for. And about 300 meters, 400 meters northeast of us, we have a pair that's calling. Sounds like quite a social vocalization. It was a very strange one, a new one for me. But in the winter, these blackback jackal here can become very vocal. And there's a typical sound that you'll hear early evening when they give these almost like yodel-like, drawn-out yodel-like calls to establish oneself within a territory. Just watch that meerkat there, Glenn. Look at his tail there. It's actually scent marking. Oh, sorry. The meerkat that Glenn has come in frame now is actually scent marking with that anal gland, which is a common characteristic within this family group. They like it so much that scent marking is a very important practice to demarcate territories, but then also they feel so strongly about it and they enjoy it so much they even mark each other. So within this clan they have a unique smell, a unique scent signature that is unique to this group only. So if you come up to another meerkat, you can smell if it's a clan member or not, just by smelling. Ah, it looks like they're going to be off. And it's time to get food, I think. For the day now, when they go off from this burrow system, it's continuous foraging behavior that these animals will go through. A little bit of resting, especially through the hotter periods of the day. If it does get very, very warm, they'll seek shade under a bush or a small burrow. But now it's off for a bit of feeding. So from the meerkats, I think you guys say goodbye, and we'll more than likely be moving off from here now. So we'll send you off to the location. We'll see you soon.
Hi guys. These lovely elephants. This guy wants to come say hi. They're having a really good time feeding. There's quite a few big bulls in this herd, even though it says a breeding herd. Well, it is a breeding herd. I see little ones in the distance. But there's some really nice big bulls here too, on the periphery. Just listen to them feed. It's so, so lovely. Look at the use of that trunk. Getting some really nice green grass in. Yes, you are. You want to fit through there? Okay. We'll fit through there. So calm. That doof you just heard was the unmistakable sound of elephant dung. Doof dropping from a height of about 1.5 meters. Just listen to the lovely sounds, the birds and the elephants eating. A black-crowned chagger going do. Here's a male showing us all his glory. He's the biggest male of the lot at the moment. Crunching of an elephant, a black-collared barbet calling in the background, and a black-headed oriole. The elephants have been so good to us the last few weeks, given me some excellent sightings. I can share with you. DG, you say munch, munch, munch? Yes, all day we munch. Hello, big boy. I love when they give us the look. And then they kind of, I guess, shrug their shoulders and say, you're okay. I'll continue to eat this time. Jon Snow, you'd like to know when is marula season? Already the marulas are starting to flower. And, look at that. December, January, we'll start to see lots of them around. And Jan, Feb, you'll see lots of them on the ground. So it's coming. Sometimes we have a good year for marulas, sometimes we don't. But 2 years ago we had a really good year. Last year wasn't that great. But hopefully with the rains from last year's wet season still feeding our dams and so the water table, and these rains, maybe we'll get a really good season. I hope so for the elephants. And for us, marulas are so tasty. You can't stop once you've started, and you end up picking them as you go and drive. No need to take snacks. Just pick up marulas as you go and eat them. They're so good. They're tangy and sweet. Just the perfect amount of both. Now these are the 3 big bulls. I can't see any others just yet, but off to my right, there's the rest of the breeding herd. We'll have a look at them in a little bit. We have a quick look now, and I'm going to stick around with them until the end of drive.
From the breeding herds of elephants to resting zebras and wildebeest, because of their long journeys, they traverse through these savannas in search of pasture and water. They also get tired. And look at what is happening now. They've picked a tree where it's shady, where they can rest, and that tree is also used as a rubbing stump. See, the zebra to the right is actually rubbing against the tree to get rid of ticks and other insects that are on their body. So these trees are used by animals from buffalo, elephants, and you can see the way it's bent, that tells you it's a continuous rubbing stump or rubbing tree from this game. And most of these trees, you find them near the water sources. It's close to a marshy area where there's water and good feeding grounds. So these elephants, buffaloes, zebra and wildebeest, as they're walking towards the water, they use these trees as a rubbing stump. So after a little scratch and a little rest, they all get back to the move and carry on to another suitable area where they'll graze and drink water and then walk back again. So interesting when you come across such behavior, because sometimes you find them allo grooming, where they'll remove parasites or sometimes rub off on each other, but these trees come in very handy to these animals. And sometimes when you get close or you come across such a tree, you might find ticks on the trunk, you might find hair. It's very, very interesting. Look at how it's bent. Seems like it's been used for years and years. For such a tree to bend or grow like that means that it's a continuous rubbing tree. And that tree is also a good hive of activity when it comes to the caterpillars from the brown veined white, a certain type of butterfly, where their caterpillars will use or eat and defoliate the leaves of the shepherd's tree or the bosia. So despite this tree being a rubbing tree, it's also good feeding for the caterpillars of the brown veined white, a certain type of butterfly that we commonly see here in the Masai Mara. Pauline, thank you so much for your question. The type of animals that graze or live up on the escarpment are, sometimes you find baboons. Baboons like living on cliffs and utilizing the rocks to bask and also to escape from predators. You find leopards also on that escarpment, but most of the time you find other smaller antelopes like Thompson gazelle and impala, and you've seen most of the time zebras. Quite often you might see elephants, but the ones that inhabit that kind of range or escarpment are baboons and bushbucks and these small antelopes. From the little scratch back to grazing, and we'll also move on to find something else. As we're moving on, finding more game, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
So, we've got a couple of Egyptian goose here at Ndlovu Dam, and they are busy grooming. A moment ago, they looked like to be having a bit of a domestic dispute. They were having words with each other, but now they're giving each other the cold shoulder on this cold and a little bit drizzly morning here at Pridelands. Hi, I'm Mike. Behind the camera is Seb, and you've come to us here at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy. Now, I know you might be thinking, why is Mike only saying hi at 8:45 in the morning? Well, we've got goose in front of us right now, but we've been on a wild goose chase the whole morning, listening to lions calling in the eastern part of our reserve, and we've been gallivanting all over the place looking for them, and they've managed to elude us for this morning. But certainly this afternoon we'll give it another go and see if we can find them. We're actually just sitting here now hoping that maybe the something will come up at the dam. I don't know if you can notice how wet and rainy it is at the moment, and the goose are having a bit of an argument again. Let's have a look. So I'm assuming, well, I'm not sure, I don't know which one is the male, which one is the female. I think there's a way to tell. I think the male has a slightly thicker neck or something. But anyway, they're making a lot of noise this morning and shouting at each other, but they seem to be calming down. There's a few drops coming down. It's very cold and honestly, I would describe it as a bit miserable. Even the animals seem to be hiding from us. We did find a herd of buffalo, but sort of deep in the sticks, and we actually thought that might have been what the lions were slowly sort of following. I didn't expect them to be close to the buffalo with all the vocalizing that was going on, but no luck. Lots of hyena tracks as well in the area, which also got our attention. You know, tracks of hyenas running up and down. It looked as though there might have been some action happening there, but we used
every single road that we could possibly have used in the east of the reserve, and unfortunately didn't come up with anything. They're hiding from us somewhere. This goose is doing a bit of grooming. It's not warm enough for it to be out and about, so it's just busy grooming itself. Actually, it looks very fluffy today, doesn't it? I often hear people saying that Egyptian geese are just noisy, and they're often, not very well liked because they tend to chase other birds away from the water holes, but this one's quite cute. See what it's doing there? It's rubbing its head and body, its head all over its body. I'm not sure why it would be doing that. Perhaps when it gets the preen gland oil on its face, it then rubs all over its body. Certainly having a good go at it. What do they say? You're supposed to have 100 brushes through your hair every day to keep your hair healthy. Maybe it's the same for a goose. 100 combs through your feathers. Agrees with me. Look at that. Wonderful. Glad to hear it. Now strutting its stuff as it walks over to, I assume this is the male. He's trying to make himself pretty, and the female's not interested. She's just... and there's a third party here. This is awkward. There's a mediator. Not doing a great job. The blacksmith lapwing there, not wanting to get involved. The one goose is following the other. She's not interested. She's walking off. Well, let's see how this argument develops.
Well, those geese can be very, very entertaining. Egyptian geese, and Mike has given you some great advice there on keeping your hair nice and shiny. Elephants have little hairs along certain parts of their body, especially around the mouth, the head, the ears. But they're not combing those. Here's a mum, the tuskless female. She's got a little calf with her. There's that little one. So peaceful. They're slowly, very, very slowly, moving towards Calico Pan. I'm sure they'll go for a drink. Elephants have this amazing ability of being able to just reveal themselves out of nowhere. Louise, you'd like to know how heavy an elephant's brain is. I'm not sure, Louise. For some reason, 8 kgs is coming into my head, but I can't be sure. In fact, I don't know. But that number appeared in my head. I wonder if I read it somewhere. Just those glands on the side of their head, those temporal glands where they sometimes leak a secretion from, we call that secretion tempora. Just those glands, which are modified sweat glands, are about 1 to 2 kgs on their own. Oh, thank you, FC. FC has told me that an elephant's brain weighs around 5 kgs. somehow I feel that's small, considering their weight. But it's not always size that matters, it's what's going on in there. The amount of neurons they have are similar to ours. But then also remember that we don't have a 5 kg brain. We have a very well-developed brain. In fact, there's a theory that if we weren't the dominant species on the planet, that perhaps elephants would have been. And that's for 2 reasons. One, the well-developed brain. And second, that they have a trunk. So one of the reasons that we did so well as a species is that we stood up on 2 legs, which meant that we left our hands free to start picking at things and then be more selective about what we eat and how we could eat. The trunk basically is giving the elephant a similar thing. An extra hand. They can still move and eat, move and communicate, move and scratch and touch. Other animals would have to stop to do that because they need to use one of their limbs. But theories are theories, and we could really never know. Now they're all moving behind us. So we don't see tuskless females too often. I've seen them just a handful of times on Djuma. I'm not sure if this is the same one I've been seeing before. But you don't see them too often. That's obviously because having tusks is a dominant trait.
I don't know.
Right, so we're still sitting here at the dam, and the geese are still arguing with each other. In fact, they've extended the distance between the 2 of them by a significant margin. The 2 mediating blacksmith lapwings are having a discussion at the moment about how they're going to deal with this situation. There's 2 terrapins that have turned up. I mean, it's all happening here at the dam. We're just waiting to see what happens next. Probably the wild dogs are going to turn up and get involved in this. You know, they're always good for a laugh. Shame, this poor goose here, which I still assume is the male, is desperately trying to catch up with his lady friend. And there's our 2 terrapins, which popped out to have a look at the interesting argument that was happening. You know, there's always those rubberneckers, and this terrapin is rubbernecking with the best of them. There it pops back in. It's not a very nice day to be out, especially when the argument is not worth his time, so he's back in the water. And now all is well in the world. The goose is still trying to follow his lady friend who's off far in the far distance there. She's going to go and spend some time alone. So yeah, we're listening to sounds as well about the area to see, you know, what other birds are around. The red-billed buffalo weavers have also been at the dam recently, starting to rebuild their nests. They've been up and down for a while now. we haven't seen too much other activity. There was a red-headed weaver that had started to build its nest, but still hasn't seemed to have gotten very far with it. So this is the male goose, which I'm assuming is still following the female. They don't look so strange out of the water, don't they? I always think that, all the waterfowl in the water, they look so graceful, and there's always that, elegance to them, and then when they're on the ground, they just look a bit like a clown waddling along there. Perhaps that's what's the problem. You need to get in the water where you look a bit more graceful and elegant, and maybe the female will be more interested then. I wonder if they've got a nest maybe somewhere just on the grass in the distance. It would be unusual for them to have a nest so far away from the water. Then again, with the amount of elephant activity at this particular dam, it might be a bit silly for them to have a nest too close to the water's edge, because the elephants will almost certainly trample it, which I think probably happens quite a lot. Seb and I actually found an egg that was broken not so far from the camp, not near the water, and we wondered what egg it was. Zach, that is exactly the question which I hoped wouldn't get asked. No, I'm joking. I'm not sure why they're called Egyptian goose. The only thing I can say is it's most likely because that's probably where they were first described by whoever, whichever ornithologist first saw these geese and decided to, study them, probably realized, that was probably where they were found. Most of names of geese or names of birds that have a place name attached, it's to do with the fact that they were maybe mostly found there, or were mostly first found there, something like that. So I assume that's what it is. But now you'll find these geese spread all over the world. I've seen them in Europe. I've seen them in all different parts of Africa. I'm sure they are spreading as human beings create habitats that are suitable for them, i.e. grassy fields, usually with water somewhere nearby, canals, farmland, that kind of stuff. It's actually one of the things I often have discussions about with any friends of mine who are, interested in conservation, and how, for the most part, human beings are not very great for the environment. We tend to destroy things and change things to suit us. But that has a negative effect on many animals. But for a lot of animals, we are actually incredibly positive. For example, foxes in Europe and geese all over the world, and a variety of other creatures, things that we don't usually like very much, like rats, for example. But there's no doubt that we are benefiting them in a big way, so it's not all doom and gloom, especially not for the Egyptian goose. But yeah, I'm just actually having a look up now to see on my bird book if I can find anything about the reason why it's called an Egyptian goose.
We are with the illies still. They've moved down. They're going further south into the drainage. Now we've just got lovely ellie bums, which I think looks a little bit like a strange elephant with their tail. Oh, the sounds of the bush in the morning. So sweet. What a nice herd. What a nice, relaxed herd, even with a couple bulls hanging around. Really good. Really nice sighting to have shared with you. Elephants are never boring. They're always doing something. Well, I mean, no animal is ever really boring. But they're always busy, always doing something. A little bit like dwarf mongoose. I'm not sure they'd like to be compared to dwarf mongoose, but always busy and always entertaining and wonderful to watch. hearing a long-billed crombec as well. Beautiful morning chorus. And the sound of elephants. I couldn't be happier to spend my morning with them and with you. And that brings us, everyone, to the close of our sunrise safari. Thank you all for your questions and your comments. We'll see you this afternoon.
We are witnessing one of the most extraordinary scenes I have ever seen.
Hop on board the world's largest safari vehicle as we track down Africa's most iconic animals on our daily live shows.
This is crazy.
Captivating characters, breathtaking beauty, and daily drama.
Artwork, $1 million card. How insane is that animal?
Only on WildEarth.